This is Boston Chris with another great episode of the ETX ROCKS Show.
Louise here.
Script.
Featuring all genres and styles of entertainment.
And coming to the ETX ROCKS.
Let's hear it from Louise, please.
From the unheralded and unheard to the legends and beyond.
Out of the box with ETX ROCKS.
It's awesome.
We keep them coming.
$5, that's pocket change.
Well, hey, y'all, this is Haley McDaniel. Are y'all ready for this?
ETX ROCKS Show is the greatest show of all time, okay?
We are ETX ROCKS.
The ETX ROCKS Show is the best show of all time, say? The other shows, you're good, you're real good. As long as we're around, you'll be second best, say?
Cut.
Hey everybody, it's Brandon Ryder on this side. Thank you for tuning in to the ETX ROCKS Show.
Hello everybody, this is Real Wallace, and I am inviting you all to come out to the store Everything That Blings whenever you get the chance, which should be very, very soon if you have not already stopped by. So yes, the discounts are still here. The fashion is still here. The exquisite jewelry, exquisitely priced. Whatever word my Spanish teacher tried to tell me. Anyway, so come on out. We are here from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday and open 10 to 6 every Saturday. So come on out and we will joyously craft you with an outfit that will be outstanding.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in to another awesome episode of the ETX ROCKS Show. Guys, we're really, really excited about our guest this week. His name is Rich O'Toole, and I'm going to read a little bit from his webpage about him, from his biography. With 14 top 10 hits on Texas radio, it's safe to say that Rich O'Toole knows where to call home. But like any multi-dimensional artist, especially those with 1 million plays on Spotify and over 1,000 full band shows performed throughout the United States, including opening slots for Willie Nelson and the Josh Abbott Band, this Houston and College Station native is always looking to challenge himself and spread his wings just a little bit more. Guys, we're super excited to introduce to y'all Rich O'Toole, a Texas legend in my mind. Rich, how you doing today, man?
Man, doing great. Relaxing at the house.
So
on my day off.
So you just had kind of made the news for something other than your music recently.
Yeah, something I didn't want to be in the news for, but you know, life happens, man. I took it with a smile. So.
And I guess on February 25th, I mean, honestly, I think God kind of, saved your life. I think it could have gone a lot worse than it really did, right?
Yeah, it could have. We were. I got into the back of an Uber, and our driver just was not prepared to be doing what he was doing, and so I got from the airport and was on the way to lunch, out of my control, and he stopped in the middle of a 4-lane small highway, and we just got rear-ended going like 60 miles an hour, and it was tough, man, because I had no idea. I mean, I didn't hear anyone braking or screeching. I just all of a sudden I'm just sitting in the back of the car, and just the world came to an end to me. Because I just flew everywhere and it broke my neck, and ambulance had to pull me out on a board and take me to the hospital for emergency surgery. So I was very, very lucky,
And I know that, not just your fans, but your peers really took to social media to create a prayer chain for you. All the other Texas country stars, and I mean, your fan base as well. So what does that kind of stuff mean to you?
It means the world, I guess it kind of lets you know where you stand. I mean, no one, not to be like too deep, but like no one wants an empty funeral, and so the fact that people I didn't know were fans of mine, in my own genre, really reached out, and even people that I think that weren't even fans of me still showed up, and made sure I was better. So I think it shows the integrity of the Texas music scene, that even though sometimes there's little beefs here and there, something people still genuinely care about everyone in the scene down here. And that's what makes it so genuine. And I was just so blessed. I mean, even in Amarillo, I had kindergartner classes dropping off student cards and fans sneaking in the hospital to come visit me in the hospital bed and stuff. So it just makes you really humble, because like I talked about, I made a post this morning and I just said, I had to wear this neck brace for 3 months in public, and sometimes it check your ego, because you're used to being Mr. Cool walking around, and you just look like a complete dork. And what I maybe realize is that when I see people now that are in a wheelchair that were paralyzed forever, and the fact that I should have been paralyzed or could have been paralyzed. Now I was like bleeding heart. I mean, I went to the Rockets game, yesterday, and I saw a bunch of people in wheelchairs, and all I could think about is like, man, that could have been me, and I just want to help those people now, And so I think it gives you a second outlet in life, because sometimes you forget about so much of the small things.
Yeah, it changes your perspective on life, doesn't it?
Perspective. Things aren't that big of a deal to me anymore. Even at shows now or touring, where I used to sometimes, if I had a long, hard day, I'd throw a little fit, and now I'm like, dude, I'm just lucky to be on stage. Like, thank God, and it does change it, and we're very blessed.
So your first show after the accident was this past, Friday, right?
Yeah, I mean, even the doctor was like, yeah, you can maybe do it, and my team was like, you probably shouldn't be doing it, but I was like, man, you know what? I'm in a little bit of pain, and I have to wear a neck brace, but the show needs to go on, people still, and we had an amazing turnout. I think we had close to 1,000 people come out in San Antonio, and a lot of fans celebrating the record, because the record just got released, and we made number 5 on the country iTunes chart, and I think we started on Billboard this week too. So it was a good celebration for the record.
And this record is unbelievable, man. It's just chock full of Texas fire, is what I call it. I mean, and for someone who's completely self-released, I mean, you even packed the envelopes yourself. So
yeah,
I would love to hear your take on, I know how big of a proponent you are for Texas independent music because of that freedom of being able to do whatever you want. So I would love to hear what your take is on that, as opposed to maybe taking the major label route.
It's different. I don't care about fame, and that's the thing about what major label route is. A lot of fame is attached to it, and they put a lot of money behind you, and it's a great route. I mean, I don't dog the major labels, because like I had a major label deal on my third record with Average Joe's, and I actually loved working with them, and I love working with the bigger labels. At the same time, when you own your own label, you get to see by the second your career. So it helps you as an artist to know exactly what you're doing. And like right now, we're doing everything in-house, from booking to management to mailing out stuff to running the record label. I mean, every single thing I could tell you, how many fans we have in a small town in Colorado. Where sometimes if you're a major label, they don't tell you any of that, and you're kind of blind, and you don't really know. You're giving your art blindly over to somebody. It'd be like if you had a child, and all of a sudden, someone's like, "Hey, we're going to raise this kid for you," and you just hope it turns out well. And a lot of times it doesn't. Just because the labels, they're not gonna. If it doesn't work out, they're just going to drop it. They don't have any compassion. They're a business, and and that's how it should be. There's no. So for ours, is like for my own art to be in my own hands. I prefer it, and I know I'd be more famous, I guess, with the major label. But fame's not a word that I ever like to use. I literally don't care or want that. I just want my art to be heard.
Right.
And if that makes the art famous, I mean, that's cool with me. I just want my art to be heard. I don't.
Well, I mean, as a fan, I think it's cool for someone like you, someone like Aaron Watson, that's all, doing this all in-house. And then the record comes out, and, the iTunes downloads are just through the roof. So, I mean, it's really refreshing to know that people like you and Aaron can do all of that in-house, and still people are supporting the project like it was a major label. Just being top 5 anywhere for genre-wide, worldwide, is just crazy to me. So I can imagine, when you look at yourself in the mirror, that's all you know what I mean? You don't have to share that with anybody else if you don't want to.
Yeah, totally. No, and you don't. And we have an amazing management team, a little staff and radio that we put together, and and it's better. You get to keep more of the profit, and you get to risk your money in ways that you want to risk it too, as a small independent label. And it is very rewarding. I mean, especially for Aaron Watson, he did something that none of us had done, is go number 1 overall in country music as an independent. And I think it's just a good example, I think, to people in Texas, younger kids coming up, that they don't have to go on The Voice. And I never, in my career, I never say anything negative about anybody, because I feel like it's so off-putting. So I'm not saying that The Voice or America's Got Talent is a bad thing. I think it's great. I think it gives people that are just starting out a really big boost in their career.
Right.
But also being an independent artist, and not having a national record deal or having to go on a TV show gives you the freedom to really become the artist that you want to be not shaped, you know. And that was one trouble I had being in Nashville. It was always kind of like, well, let's have you lose some pounds, or let's have you bulk up, or they wanted to shape some type of image, and it was like, you know what, guys, I just like me being me, and this is the music that I make, and here it is. You can take it or leave it, and a lot of times they'll probably leave it. But
well, I mean, it's also that factor of, you know, betting on yourself, whereas, you know, you don't have to worry about other people taking the risk in you and your art. It's all about you taking on that risk. And that way, right. I mean, you've got that freedom now that you don't have to answer to anybody. So, I mean, if you make a decision that doesn't do well, then you have nobody else to blame. So, but at the same time, you know, on the other side of the coin, if it does well, then, I mean, it was your idea that made that to fruition.
Right. And it can be scary too. I mean, a major label can say, here's money in advance, and you don't have to spend any of your own money, and there's $1 million. Where like me, I mean, to make my first 2 records, I had to give my car, my Toyota Camry, up as collateral to a bank. So it made you kind of scared, but it also kind of made you work harder. Excuse me. It made you work harder because you were like, I need my car back.
Right.
Like, I got to make this record work. So I think, and then you love those records personally so much because you knew that it was built and paid for with your own 2 hands. So that's the satisfaction of not being with the major sometimes, is using your own money to create. And I see Jason Isbell do it. I see Aaron Watson do it. There's a lot of great people out there that are doing it, and for good reason. You know, there's a reason that it's for it. And I don't think that you need a label. And if you listen to this interview, one thing you could take away is I honestly don't think you need it anymore with Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Yep. And
social media has just changed everything, you know.
Before you needed a label, in the 90s and 80s, you kind of needed a label. There wasn't a way to put you out there. There was no social media. I mean, you really had to hang up posters in every single town. You needed a label to make you a national star. And now, because of technology, there's major people that are independent, and it's cool. I think it's very cool.
Well, I mean, the state of Texas is a different kind of animal anyway. You know, we're blessed to have listeners all over the world. But just being part of the Texas scene in the country music genre, it's completely different than anywhere else in the world, I think. And it's almost like its own entity. I think it is its own entity where, I mean, you can look at any weekly chart, you know, like Texas Regional Radio Report, for example, and you just go down the top 100 and 94 of those people are all independent. It's just amazing to watch unfold.
It is, and I think that I wouldn't, if we'll use your name, man. If I started a country band in Boston, I don't think I could be successful. I mean, there's just not a structure there to support country music. You would really have to move to Nashville, which I think a lot of kids are forced to. But in Texas, you're not. We're very blessed, and I don't know why it's on its own genre yet. I've always been.
It should be
back and forth of that, because on iTunes it should have its own chart. On Spotify it should have its own thing, and Apple Music it should have its own category. It shouldn't say country music; it should say Tex country, because literally it's the difference between. It's like you wouldn't put Metallica and you wouldn't put Nirvana in the same genre. You would say that one's death metal, one's punk rock, you know. And I think it's the same thing. Like Tex country and country music, it's different. It's a different kind of country. It's a different kind of label itself. It's totally independent. It's totally, what it is. So I wonder, none of us really embraced that yet. I think Aaron Watson is really helping us, and Cody Johnson knock doors down.
Right.
I know Cody turned down a major record deal to stay independent, which I was so proud for him to run his own company in-house, to do that as well. So maybe it eventually will. Who knows? So
I think it's definitely trending that way. I just think so many people, and it's not just in Texas either. I mean, there's people all over the country that are really digging the sound that's coming from here. And it's cool to see, like Rich O'Toole and Aaron Watson on tour, in the Northwest or wherever it might be. So it definitely translates nationally, which is awesome when you're here in Texas,
Yeah, I think it's so cool. I think Cody Jinks is really helping that out. Ryan Bingham has helped us expand.
Yep.
Him from Texas, Hayes Carl, and they're more of Americana, but I don't know what you even call it. I think at the end of the day, just Texas music is what I'm starting to call it now, because it really is making its own statement, saying we don't need anybody. We just need our fans. Our fans are our boss. I mean, as long as I continue to grow numbers on social media and people continue to spread my music, the next record I put out, maybe I have a shot of even being number one, because there's more people buying it and they're supporting it. So at the end of the day, like, as long as I work for my fans today, actually, that's what I got to work for. They're my boss. They're the record label.
Right.
So as long as Texas country and Red Dirt and Texas music or Americana, whatever's down here, as long as we keep expanding and growing, then I think you'll see more and more Texas country releases be number one. Yep. And it's going to be a really cool thing.
You go on iTunes and just, you go through the country charts. I mean, it's littered with Texas artists. It's awesome. So,
right. Very cool.
I mean, you started writing music in high school, and then, I mean, you transitioned from that to playing in clubs and frat parties while attending Texas A&M. So, I mean, when did you know that this was the direction your life was going to take?
I think it was, I got like an obsession with Robert O'Keefe early on. I just thought, because I was so exposed to like mainstream country from my parents, I didn't really know that there was like a minor league baseball or whatever you call it. I didn't know there was like a songwriter league. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't call it minor league. I know my buddy Grant just got in trouble this year by calling it minor league. So just by like, I'd call it like independent. I didn't know that until I was like 15, and I became obsessed with it. I was like, that's what I want to do. Because I've always been a little bit of a rebel too, and I think that like when I found out that like Robert O'Keefe and like Guy Clark and people were doing it independently, and then Pat Green and Jack Ingram, and I was like, okay, I just want to do that. And I went to a Robert O'Keefe concert, and I was like 16, and I was like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to be independent songwriter. It just seems so cool, and just put out records and do my own thing. I always thought maybe that's a thing where it was. I was like, I don't know if I would want to be a major country star. I just would want to do that. And so that's what kind of really made me dedicate my life to one of my idols was Robert O'Keefe. So
you mentioned two amazing songwriters there, and there's a third one. I don't believe he's really known as much as he should be, but man, as a songwriter, had to be a huge experience for you. You wrote a song called Uncle Hank, and one of my favorite songwriters ever was Hank Cochran. The guy was a genius. So, I mean, what was that like going into that? I mean, you wrote this song with his family in his house. So, I mean, I would have been floored, man.
It was. I mean, I became friends with his widow, who is the aunt to one of my good friends, Chris Monteverdi. And we got to go through all of Hank's old tapes. We got to go in his attic and listen to Willie Nelson demos that were never released. I mean, probably no one in the world heard it. So, and wrote this song actually with his widow, Susie Cochran, and I played it for her, and she would still to this day, me and her still go to dinner, and she's so amazing, the stories she had about Hank, and that song Uncle Hank, every single lyric in that song is actually a song title of his, and people forget that he like holds a record or something, or like 53 number one hits.
Yeah.
So it was so surreal that it just becomes fake at some point, because like you're sitting there in the backyard. We filmed the music video for that in the Pamper House, the original publishing house where they signed Willie Nelson, and Hank and all those people were in that house writing at one point. And why that house, the Pamper House that's in her backyard, it's a little shack. Why isn't it in the Smithsonian or something? Because it really holds the most songs ever written were in that tiny shack ever.
Well, it just goes to show you that the songwriter doesn't necessarily get all the glory. I mean, it's like, how many people know who Hank Cochran is unless you're a huge fan of country music? But if you listed 15 of his songs, people would be going nuts. It's that kind of separation between songwriter and performer. It kind of drives me crazy. Guy Clark's another good example of that as well. Dillon is another one. Just these like the Mount Rushmore of country songwriters, and people would be like, "Who?" You know?
Oh, yeah, they would be. I mean, you're right, and I think Dean Dillon's more well known than Hank is, which blows my mind. But I think just because people talk about some of their favorite George Strait songs, but you know, Hank has written so many for George, but also wrote so much for Elvis and Patsy Cline and
right.
Wilson. So his degree of songwriting is just like Dolly Parton. I mean, just.
Well, I mean, you know, the man has to be a good songwriter when Willie Nelson's cutting your music, you know, because Willie's a heck of a songwriter in his own right. So, I mean, if he's pulling songs from someone else, then you know they must be good.
Yeah, and you know, Hank actually saved Willie. So when Willie moved to town, Willie was like, I got to move out of Nashville. I got to get a job. And so Hank was up for a raise with the publishing company with, you know, Harlan Howard. And they said, and Hank said, you know what? Can you hire Willie? And they said, no. Willie was going to leave Nashville. And Hank said, you know what? Take my raise you're going to give me and just give it to Willie and hire him. So without Hank Cochran, maybe William Nelson would have never even existed.
Right.
So
exactly.
there's stuff like that just like blows your mind.
Yeah. And Harlan Howard, you mentioned him. That's another one. That's another huge songwriting name.
Amazing, huge songwriter. I mean, Harlan only believed that every song should be 3 chords, but I still kind of believe too. I try to keep my writing really simple because sometimes it gets too, you know, intense. You go into songwriting, people want to throw 18 chords in a song. And you're like, this is Beethoven at this point. You know?
Right.
You know, it's like most people in Nashville in the beginning were so ignorant too that they only knew 3 chords thing. I was like, dude, you know, no one taught them. They didn't know any better.
That's what Elvis made it on, man. 3 chords. That's all he knew.
And Harlan was such a funny guy. One of my favorite quotes by Harlan Howard was he used to drive and park in handicapped spots when he would go drinking, and the cops were like, you know, his famous line was, "Hey man, I'm going to tell you again, stop parking in handicapped spots." And Harlan go, "Listen, I'm not handicapped now, but when I leave here in 3 hours, I'll definitely."
That's awesome.
And the cops would never mess with him because he had the funniest jokes. You know, he was so witty.
And talking about songwriting, you know, your music ranges really from crazy ranges from like deep vulnerability in songs like Jaded to lighthearted fun, like the song Marijuana and Jalapenos. So as a songwriter, I'd love to hear what drives the creativity behind your music.
I think that like anything, I mean, if I sat there and wrote too serious all the time, I'd probably really become a Tim Burton or something. I'd just be
right.
very dark. And I'm from the Robert Earl Keen school. That's where I always say, you know, Robert has such incredibly deep songs that can range from, you know, I only use my gun when kindness fails to, you know, the Bucking song and Copenhagen, which would be like my Marijuana Jalapenos. And I think that like as a songwriter, you have to flex every muscle. And, you know, sometimes I'll get a bad rap. These, you know, cry in your beer songwriters that are out there will give me a hard time because they're like, oh, he's not serious. Well, they're just judging me on one song, but there's 68 other songs on iTunes that are just like so deep and dark.
Right. Yeah. They're crazy different. Yeah.
They're going to judge you on your most funny, lighthearted tunes. So, and that's okay. I mean, but even, you know, Springsteen's a really, really dark writer, which I became obsessed with him, you know, about 7 years after the Robert Earl Keen thing. And I still say people ask me, who are you? I always say, well, it's Bruce Springsteen meets Robert Earl Keen. Or as I said too, is because Springsteen's kind of the same way. He has a song called Redheaded Woman, you know, about his wife, and it's a goofy song. He's got a couple of goofy songs. I think that like he learned how to write. DB also, he learned that, you know, you got to have somewhat of a funny side as a songwriter.
Well, I would definitely say to those people, they need to look up the song Margaritaville.
Right.
You know, if you're a little worried about, you know, silly lyrics, I think Jimmy Buffett made a pretty good living with that song.
Yeah, no, and I was just reading his book, and I didn't know about the stories that were in Margaritaville, and he does. I mean, Jimmy Buffett's a hell of a songwriter.
Heck yeah.
People always give him a hard time, you know. I'm like, listen, dude, he made a whole franchise off one song, and I was talking to a friend of Larry Joe Taylor's who was in the Coral Reefers. God, what was his name? I'm drawing a blank. It'll come to me. I'll text you the name later so the interview didn't sound like I'm so
Okay.
Anyways, he's in Jimmy's band, and I was talking to him, and he said, well, Jimmy had a rough time. He wasn't really making it as a songwriter. Had a tough time. He was living down in Florida, and I think he got evicted or something. So his parents called him. It's Keith Sykes. It's Keith Sykes, a great songwriter. When he was playing Jimmy's band, Keith said when he went down there to pack up all of Jimmy's stuff, and this is probably months before Margaritaville came out, so they had no idea that their life was going to change. And Keith goes, man, the last thing I threw away was his blender because only one gear worked on it. Keith's like, dude, that blender's being the Smithsonian, that was the blender, It's like, just stuff like that. That's so funny. But yeah, I mean, same kind of way, man. You can give Gene Buffett a hard time all you want, but anyone in the world would kill that with a song like Margaritaville.
Well, I think, like you mentioned, it's like if you put yourself into a box and you're writing the same song over and over again, I mean, your albums are not going to get the attention that you want them to get, I don't think, anyway.
Right, totally. And that's what I tried to do with American Kid. Was a lot more of a serious record. There's not any kind of...
And I was definitely going to ask you about American Kid. This was just released on March 17th.
Right.
So what does this project reveal about your evolution?
It talks about people and I moved from LA to Nashville to Texas all within a 3-year period. And because I wanted to write Jaded, I went Jaded. Started writing American Kid. That's why some of the songs talk about Las Vegas, talk about 101, California, and then the record transitioned into when I was living in Nashville, which was Heartbreak is a Currency, the hardest part.
Right.
Take it from here, and then move back to Texas, which would do talking about leaving to go to LA, Sunset Boulevard. American Kid was written in Texas, talking about the upcoming election, border rights things are just really messed up right now, and so it was a record that was transition my 2.5 years of my past life. Being back in Texas and my travels and stories and heartbreak and everything on the record is 100% true story about my life. A little bit of it is exaggerated because we want to make it fun. As Springsteen always talks about, your songs should take on their own characters. So there's a character in Casino Lights, there's a character on Sunset Boulevard, there's a character in Heartbreak is a Currency, there's a character in Take It From Here. These are all different characters. They represent true stories about myself, but they're not about me because I don't do amphetamines. Obviously, the guy that in Casino Lights does.
Right.
So to make it interesting for the listener, it has to be a little bit more creative. But for start to front, they are true stories that have been elaborated. So.
All right. So I've actually, as you know, I put out a post about fan questions for Rich O'Toole. And I've got a couple, and they're all taco related.
Okay. Perfect.
All right.
That guy.
All right. So the first one is from Ashton Ashbury, and she wants to know what your favorite meat is for tacos. And she hashtags that with big butts and taco trucks.
That's right. That's my hashtag I use on Instagram. Big butts and taco trucks. And the whole story behind the big butt thing was, I think Country Weekly asked me in an interview 2 years ago, and this is me just being me. What do you look for in a wife? And I said, big butt. That's really what. That's it. If you have a good personality and big butt, I'm in, And they totally ran with it. And now I meet fans that read that article, and so I just hashtag everything big butts because it's funny.
That's awesome.
But yeah, my meat choice would definitely be barbacoa. The meat that surrounds the cow. They cook the meat underground for 6 hours, and the meat kind of falls off the cow's head. And they call it cabeza.
Okay.
And it's a really tender meat that's in the cheek of the cow. And that makes amazing tacos. Really fatty, really high cholesterol. You'll die too much of it, but it's so good.
All right, the next one is from Brian Chance from the Brian Chance Band. He wants to know where is the best place, or what is the best taco in Texas?
I'm biased. Mine first out of my mouth is why I got obsessed with taco trucks was when I was living in Austin at 290 in Manchaca Boulevard. There's a little taco truck called Taco Rico's, and it's run by Mary, this Hispanic woman. She could barely speak English, and I'd walk there every day for lunch when I was really poor and broke, and because she'd give me tacos for 75 cents each, and she helped me work on the Spanish, and she would, if there wasn't a line, me and her would talk for 30 minutes, and she would probably work on my Spanish words I didn't know. And her taco, she made this habanero sauce that was fresh. Her barbecue was amazing. She made everything by hand. Amazing tortilla. So that's really got me into the whole taco truck, kind of fetish, I guess. I don't know what you call it at this point. Because you can eat really cheap. If you're broke, a taco truck is for you. For $3, you can eat a full meal with soda. So it's kind of for the songwriter. Taco Truck is the independent record label. They can't afford a restaurant, and it's cheap, and so I kind of relate with it. I always relate with the underdog. I always kind of relate with the independent person that's putting on an amazing product that just can't afford to, be a giant taco chain or whatever. So yeah, check out 290 in Manchaca. It's called Tacos Ricos.
You heard it here first from the expert, the taco expert, Rich O'Toole. Next question. When can we expect the new Texas country single called Uber from Rich O'Toole?
Yeah, right. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'll have to shut up about this soon or something. Or I don't know what will happen with that. Robert O'Keefe's bass player, he sent me a funny track in the hospital. He recorded it called Amarillo by Uber. It was a George Strait spoof. That was really funny, man. I got a kick out of that. And it's just so hard, man. I think you kind of live by the sword, die by the sword. I took Uber so much and pressed it for it to be a safe ride, and I'm not saying anything. Like I said, I don't ever. My new motto in life is I don't want to say negative about anybody or anything. A lot of times it's in God's hands, man, and So yeah, but no, I don't think I'll ever write about that.
Okay.
I'll write about the crash. I'll write about this experience, but I don't think I'll put anyone's name in it.
So one thing I think is cool is you've kind of put your love for tacos and music together. You've run this campaign where you are actually, like I said earlier, you're sending out every single one of your albums personally and putting a signed note in there. But somehow you came up with the idea of putting a golden ticket in two of these. And tell folks out there what a golden ticket means.
A golden ticket means I'm gonna come pick you up or come to your town. I mean, you're just spend the day hunting taco trucks and eating tacos and hanging out. I think there's this weird thing in country music, which it happens, and I still believe in it. I'm not saying it shouldn't happen. That friends and fans and friends aren't. Sometimes it gets weird, and if it does get too weird, I kind of end a friendship with fan if it gets weird, which it never really does. People have a lot of respect for me, and I have a lot of respect for my fans, so we become friends. And if I see you at more than 3 or 4 or 5 of my concerts in a row, usually I'll give you my phone number and come hang out with you. But the deal with the golden taco ticket is if it was kind of like a Willy Wonka. If you got the ticket in your package, you get to come spend a day with me, and I'll even pick you up, and we'll drive around and just BS and eat tacos together. So it was kind of a cool promotion we did, and people went crazy for it. So it helped us, I think, sell the record because they like it. They kind of like that.
Well, I when you fill out these notes for your album, are you like how would we contact you to get it personalized, like with our name or whatever? Or do you just already do that?
If you go to richotoole.com, I sign everything. So if you go to richotoole.com under merch, if you buy a copy of American Kid, the new record, I'm definitely going to sign it. I usually circle a track on the back that I think you'll like. I'll write a funny letter on the back of the CD. I'll write, thanks for the support and love. I'll sign it and all that.
Very cool. So I'll be doing that before the day's over.
Yeah, it's richotoole.com/merch, and you can order a CD, you get it signed, and there's a note on it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, the new record is out. It's been out for about 2 weeks, and it's really exploding. I mean, did you expect for this project to get this kind of attention?
I don't know. I hate to say that maybe the accident helped it get even more because people are sympathetic, and maybe that helped it. I don't know. I hope you, as an artist, you hope that's not the case. But it was bad timing too. We had a radio, tour and press tour lined up to make the record even bigger, which I think we could have got higher than We're 5 if I would have really had some time to work. But luckily, I was in a hospital then, and then back here getting taken care of for 3 weeks, and I couldn't really promote the record.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it was. I wanted as many people to hear it. I just want people to hear it. That's what I always say. I don't care if you buy it or not, if you stream it or if you borrow it from your buddy. Just it just needs to be heard. It's art, It really is. And streaming services now, you pay $10 and you can hear it, listen to everything, Apple Music, Spotify,
Right.
whatever. So I just encourage people, whatever service you have, just go in there and listen to the record. And if you don't know who I am, then just listen to the record. And if you like more, there's other records on there as well.
And one thing I would definitely recommend for folks out there, if you have a Twitter, you've got to follow Rich on Twitter. It's, in my opinion, it's one of the top 5 best Twitters that I follow. You just keep things so dang entertaining on there, man.
Yeah, I try to I try to respond to every fan. I like every single tweet that's at me. And I usually write people personal messages that they say something that I can't always get to on my timeline. I definitely write them a direct message. Just thank you. And when I come to your city, make sure you come out. I'd love to see your show. But yeah, I try to keep it funny too. And a lot of my fans, my friends that are kind of on Twitter a lot, like Jimmy Johnson and Morgan Murphy and a lot of comedians. I kind of learned their humor from Twitter, and so I try to apply it. Because Twitter's kind of the Wild West. Your grandma and your aunts are on Twitter, so you can press the accelerator. You can kind of cuss on Twitter. It's cool. Facebook's for the grandma generation, and the moms and dads, and Instagrams are for the girls, for the selfies and the food, I guess. So
yep.
You find where you fit in, on every single social media.
That's probably why my Instagram's a ghost town.
It can be kind of boring, It's for like housewife blogs and stuff a lot of times.
Right. Look what I made for dinner tonight. Check it out.
Yeah, I'm guilty. I love food pics because I'm really into food and cooking. So I take these like funny, cool photos of look what I cooked tonight. But Twitter is it's supposed to be comical. It's supposed to be sarcastic. And you kind of get your true sarcastic feelings out on Twitter. It's fun.
Right. So if people were wanting to purchase American Kid from Rich O'Toole, where would you send them? What's the best place, do you think? Would you send them to iTunes or would you send them to your .com?
Whatever you're comfortable with listening at. I mean, that's the question is, if you listen to all your music on Spotify, it's on Spotify. Listen to all your music on Apple Music, it's on there. If you want to buy the record, buy it on iTunes. If you're an Amazon guy, go to Amazon. If you're on Google Play, go to Google Play. If you're in Texas, stop at a Buc-ee's. It's in Buc-ee's or it's in Cavender's. If people want autographs, ASAP, go to richotoole.com. So, we make a pretty decent return on it. Spotify is starting to pay decent. iTunes gives us 80% of what you spend. So as an independent, we're still kind of getting the money back.
Right.
Obviously, we make the most money if you go to richotoole.com, but it's not about that. It's just a couple bucks here or there. So, it really is just about whatever you feel comfortable with, because I want you to be comfortable when you listen to my music. I don't want you to say, you have to listen to it on CD and then you hear it on, the stereo in your house because your car, my new car I have right now, it doesn't have a CD player in it. So I can't play a CD if I wanted to.
Right.
So I totally get it. Whatever you're comfortable with, you do you. Just go out and listen to it. That's all.
All right. So last question for you, man, because we have a lot of listeners in East Texas. I got to know, when is Rich O'Toole coming to East Texas for a concert?
I know we just played it in December with Abbott. We're supposed to come back to Coaches and Cowboys, I think, in Tyler. I'm not sure. It's up to the management team. They handle all of that. That's one thing I'm not really in the loop in. They'll let me know. But we've been begging to get back out there. So I'm sure soon. We have a great fan base out there, and people love Texas music. So soon. I would just say soon.
Well, when that happens, we will definitely have to meet up, and I'd love to shake your hand, man.
Let's get tacos after the sound check or something.
Sounds good to me, man.
I love that. It's awesome.
All right, guys. So once again, I want to thank Rich O'Toole for taking the time out of his schedule and his rehab and trying to recover from a really bad wreck. I really appreciate your time, man.
Oh, yeah, man. Thank you so much.
And guys, you've been listening to another amazing episode of the ETX ROCKS Show. I think this is episode like 130 or something like that now. We've done so many. We're just completely blessed in getting to do what we get to do. Guys, always remember to keep on supporting local music, and always remember,
ETX rocks, baby.
Hey guys, I'm Katie Lynn, and make sure to tune in to ETX Rocks with
Boston Chris.
Darren Watson, ETX Rocks.
ETX Rocks, Alan Fox Band.
Hey guys, we're the Morning Madhouse. I'm Carter.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Ginger.
It's the best podcast ever made in all of history.
Hi, this is Paul Bebo, and I ETX Rocks with Boston Chris Barnes. You're gonna love it.
ETX Rocks.
Hey East Texas, DP here. ETX Rocks.
Hey East Texas, we're Enduring House, a Christian rock band.
ETX Rocks!
Hey, this is Monty Pittman from ETX Rocks.
Hey East Texas, Jaden Farnsworth, ETX Rocks.
Hey everybody, I'm David McCarty with the Gypsy Creek Band. As always, ETX Rocks.
Hey guys, this is Chris Colston. Thanks for tuning in to the ETX ROCKS Show.
To the ETX ROCKS Show.
The ETX ROCKS Show.
Ho! Hey folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and I just want to make sure you support local music.
Hi East Texas, this is Chris Wayne.
And Crystal Clark with KYKX 1057. ETX Rocks!
Hey East Texas, we're Lady Chaz and the Tramps. And just remember, ETX Rocks.
Hey, this is Tom Freeman of ETX Rocks with Boston Chris.
Hey, East Texas, I'm Waylon Hicks. And remember, ETX Rocks.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the one and only SP and Mexicano con Estilo. Make sure to support your local music and ETX Rocks.
Hello. Hello. We're one way home.
Hey East Texas, this is Teaser.
Please continue to support local music.
And always remember, ETX Rocks!
Howdy folks, this is Aaron Watson. Support local music and ETX Rocks.
Hey, this is Chris Colston. Make sure you support local music
and ETX Rocks.
Hey, this is Hannah Kirby. Thanks for tuning in to the ETX ROCKS Show.
Tough guy, ho!
Covering music-related content of all genres. If it filters through Eastern Texas, it's fair game. Y'all bring it. From Texarkana down to the coast and Dallas down to Houston and everything in between, we are ETX Rocks!